Hi, today I am talking about shopping on eBay, and this video was actually requested by somebody. I'm sorry, I don't remember who you are. I would have to look up the comments on one of my videos to see who it was who requested it, but since I do a lot of shopping on eBay, because it's the best value for me being in Australia, I thought that this is actually a pretty good idea, and I'll do the video. So in terms of shopping on eBay, I do a lot of my shopping on eBay because it's a lot cheaper. I generally find that when I shop on eBay, I pay 30 to 50% less than if I were to be shopping in a store in Australia, just for things like makeup and beauty products. So a lot of times I go to the store, swatch what I need to swatch if it's available for swatching, and look at the items, and then go and look up the exact same item on eBay and then buy it on eBay. And I know I get told this, it's people like me who will one day get all the retail stores shut down because nobody's going to retail stores. But seriously, if I can save 30 to 50% on, something that I'm buying, I'm going to do that because it's a significant amount of money and that works for me. So let me go through and talk about what I do in terms of shopping on eBay and the kinds of things that I look out for. So first of all, keep an eye on the percentage of positive ratings for the seller. I try to make sure that the sellers that I use all have a rating of 99.3% or higher. And on top of that, I also make sure that I check the number of ratings as well as the percentage of ratings, because I don't want to buy from a seller who's only got maybe 30 or 40 ratings or a couple of hundred ratings. I would rather buy from a seller who has a few thousand ratings or tens of thousands of ratings, because it means that they're an established seller, they've been around a lot longer, and they've sold a lot more products and have a high positive rating from the number of products that they've sold, which just gives me a sense of comfort that I know they're a good seller. The other thing I do a great deal of is I go on to eBay and I search for things that I want. And I might not buy them right away because, I'm always hearing about things that I might be interested in, or there are new things coming out, or I'm just not quite prepared to buy it at that time because I don't want to spend the money. But everything that I do buy, I put them on my watch list. I do search, and if I'm interested in it, I put them on my watch list if it's a product that matches what I want, based on my criteria of the product and the seller. So on my watch list, I go and I check it every now and then, every couple of days or every few days, and see what's going on in my watch list. And I go through my watch list. My watch list is huge. And the great thing about that is that I can keep an eye on it. And every now and then a seller would have a sale on. And they would take 5% or 10% or 20% off the product that they're selling. And when they do that, that's a really good thing, and because it's already, a heck of a lot cheaper than the store, and then when they have another further discount, it makes it even cheaper. And I, jump on to make sure that I, get the deals and the bargains that way. And the other thing that's really important, because I live in Australia and most of the sellers are overseas, is shipping. A lot of the Asian countries, say China, Hong Kong, Korea, Japan, ship for free, which is fantastic. Or their shipping's very low, $1, $2 or something like that. So that's really, really good. A lot of items, particularly the makeup drugstore items that I get come from the US, and the shipping tends to be a bit more expensive. Usually it's about $6 to $7 an item. I've seen it as high as $9 an item. I would not go above $9-ish an item. But the other thing I make sure to check is whether they have combined shipping or not. So you always want to know that the seller you're buying from has combined shipping. because usually if that's the case, then the second item is only an extra dollar or an extra $1.50 or $2 for shipping. And you know, it really becomes worth it if you buy more than one item. Occasionally you might find that there is one item that you want and it's, you know, the shipping's $9 and you think, okay, I can live with that shipping. That depends entirely on how much you would have to pay in the store where you are if you were buying it in the store and you wanted to save money. So for example, a Revlon primer that I looked at recently is about $30 in the store here. I can get it on eBay for about, I think, between $10 and $12. So with shipping, that's about $17. So even if you buy only that one item, it's still a lot cheaper than just getting, you know, the item from the store. So you know, you need to weigh up your decisions about shipping and whether you do combine shipping or whether you buy more than one item or whether you can live with the shipping or not, and make that decision that way. And you know, is it cheaper still after you pay for shipping? And if it's still cheaper after you pay for shipping, then you know, by all means, go and get it. Because the whole point of shopping on eBay is not only for you to find things that you cannot normally find in stores where you are, but also to pay less for it, which is always a good thing. So the other thing you want to check is whether the seller, if you ever communicate with them, have good communications. Do they respond quickly? Generally, because they're overseas, allow 24 hours for them to respond. Normally, the sellers that I contact tend to respond overnight, and they tend to be really, really good. Most of them are really nice people. They're really friendly, and they're really helpful. I've only had one difficult situation with a seller, which I'll talk about later and explain how that worked out for me. And some sellers, for example, there's this one seller that I really like, and I get most of my drugstore makeup from them, is One Last Touch. And they even take requests, because I was looking for something or other and I couldn't find it in their store, and I asked them if they would carry it or if they had it, and they said no, but they would go to the store over the weekend, buy it, and then list it in the store for me. And that was what they did, which was fantastic, because then I was able to get it. And they were really good in terms of communicating and telling me what the price would be, because you know, people are bargain hunters when they shop on eBay. And you know, she came back and said, look, you know, it costs this much to get from the store, and for me to make any money, I need to put the price up by 15 or 20%, and so it'll actually cost about this much. Are you okay with that? And since it was a product that was not even available in Australia, I was more than happy for them to do that, because it meant that I could get it. And so that was, you know, a really, really good thing. So, you know, some of them do requests, which is great. Sometimes a item won't show up, or it takes a really long time to show up. And that has happened to me twice. Once when I was living in the Middle East, and the postal service in the Middle East leaves a lot to be desired. And unless you do something like a courier like FedEx or DHL, you can forget about something showing up reliably. So that one time it didn't show up, and the seller actually resent it, and the resent item also didn't show up. And it didn't have anything to do with the seller. It wasn't, you know, their fault or anything. I was just living in a country where the postal service sucked. And so I didn't get my item, and it wasn't a big deal because it was only a $2 or $3 item anyway. So I was okay with it, and I didn't leave any negative feedback or anything like that. I just kind of let it go. Another time, I actually was looking for a perfume that I really, really wanted, and most of the sellers would say, you know, if you don't receive your item after 30 days, contact them, and then they would do something to resolve the issue, either a refund or, you know, a send out the item again. Now, this particular item I got was fairly expensive, and it was a very, very rare perfume that I was looking for, and it's a discontinued item, so it wasn't like easy to find in the stores. So I finally found it on eBay, and there was like only the one seller selling it on eBay, and I bought it. But right from the start, I was having difficulties with the seller because he was very hedgy, he was very cautious, he was very, you know, everything I'm doing is going to cover my ass, and I just want to make sure that nothing you do or nothing about this transaction will come back and hurt me. And it was all about him and not about the buyer. And so I waited and waited and waited, and I think I waited about 40 days, and the item never showed up. And so I opened a resolution thing. I can't remember what it was called, an item on eBay and on PayPal. And then the guy got really upset and was, oh no, why did you open it up in the resolution center? You should have contacted me. And I was like, yeah, I contacted you, and you just kept telling me to wait for it, and it never showed up. And he made this big deal about shipping and tracking and refusing to put a tracking number and then putting a tracking number on it. And it was just really, really painful. And so in the end, and he said, oh, well, if you contacted us, then, you know, we could have sent you a replacement. And I said, look, you know, I don't want a replacement because I don't trust you, and I don't trust the way you're shipping the item for it to actually reach me. So I just want a refund. And fortunately, because I had opened the item, I think via PayPal to be resolved, I did get a refund fairly quickly. But there was a lot of emails going backwards and forwards, and the whole process was just really, really painful with this one particular seller. But, you know, I've been shopping on eBay for a really, really long time, and I've only had this one encounter with a difficult seller. And that seller was, I think the name was Perfume Bears or something like that. So that was that one incident. And of course, I'm never buying from them again. And I ended up giving them a neutral feedback. I didn't give them a positive feedback. I didn't give them a negative feedback. I felt that a neutral feedback was fair because I didn't get my item. It was difficult to deal with them, but I still did get a full refund for my entire transaction. So I was happy with that. So generally, if you want to communicate, if there's an issue and you want to communicate with the seller, communicate with them first and send them a message first via eBay, rather than, you know, immediately opening a issue resolution thing on PayPal or on eBay, just to see how they respond and they react. And if it doesn't, you know, work or whatever it is, then by all means find other avenues of resolving your issues. So that is basically all I have to say about shopping on eBay. I do like shopping on eBay. I get a lot of my stuff on eBay, and I find that they are really, really good. Oh, yes, one other thing, requests. And I talked about requests earlier, but I did have this one really good experience very recently where I needed some hangers, and these were a velvet covered, what they call flop hangers, and they're hard to find here, really, really hard to find. So I found them on eBay, but they were selling them in lots of 60, 120, and 200, and I'm thinking, I do not need that many hangers. So I asked the guy, could I get half of the 60 and get 30 instead, because 30 I could get through. And the guy said, sure, not a problem. But there wasn't a way where I could just pay for 30 or order 30. So he said, pay for the 60 and then I'll give you a refund and I'll send you 30. And the communication was fantastic. He did exactly what he said. He took the shipping off the the item anyway, so the price was less. And then he came back and said, this is what I'll charge you for, you know, 30 hangers, which was half the number of hangers, so he charged me half the price. And then there was the shipping, and immediately he said, I will, what did he say? He said, I will refund you the difference as soon as I've shipped the item. And so he shipped the item, and because he's a seller that's in Australia as well, I got the item like the very next day. And so I just messaged him and said, hey, thanks a lot, I got the items, can you make sure I get the refund? And within like half an hour, I got my refund for the extra that I had paid for the, you know, 60 hangers instead of the 30 hangers. And that was like a really, really good experience in terms of communicating with the seller, getting what I wanted, and also, you know, dealing with a request for something very specific. So that was good. So that is it. That's all I have to say about shopping on eBay. I hope that was helpful for you. And if you have any other questions or anything you might want to know, just leave me a comment or in below, or Facebook message me, or you send me something on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook, so you know, I'll always respond on Facebook really, really quickly. And thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!